Welcome to Author Adventure.
Hello, Russ. How are you today?
How you doing?
Doing okay? I'm doing great. I'm doing fabulous for Tuesday. It's kind of been raining on us for the last week, but other than that, we're still
Well,
here. We
you
haven't
can't have the
floated away.
sunshine without the rain.
I know it, and that's the truth.
That
So
is so
anyway,
true.
but we're excited to be here, and as Russ and I are always talking about the art and business of publishing and the 5 secrets to success that we think every author needs to be in that top 10%, because it is a sad fact that a lot of authors only sell 500 books or less, and we want you to be a successful author and sell a lot more books than that, because a lot of people spend time and energy and effort, and we need a better return on investment. So it was interesting. Did you see the post by Shayna this week that said, why do your customers and why do your clients work with you? And she said something about a safe place, and I thought, well, we give people a place to share their stories, or creative joy. I think we're creative. We create this space for creatives, and we're always having a good time. We always want to look for the joy in things. So figure out what your motto is. We're coming into a new year, and what your intentions are going to be. And a lot of times people just pick a word. So I haven't picked my word this year for 2023, but
You haven't picked your word yet, huh?
but I'm going to think about it. But
Okay.
how about
Well,
you?
well, as I was listening to you, I wanted to make sure that people realize that writing a book is only a portion of the equation. It's only part of the process. And that's what we really want to be, as a safe place where people can come, arrive, and enjoy and kind of start a conversation around all of the other things that have to take place in order for a book to be successful. And success can mean a lot of different things by a lot of different people.
Right.
And, the 5 steps that we talk about, and sometimes a few more steps as well, because technology is now prevalent in social media. But you were talking earlier about the process, and I think the creative process, and I think it's really important that we talk about that a little deeper. So one of the things we want to talk about is one of the 5 steps that we share every week, and we go over these little different aspects of each one. And so I know you wanted to share a couple of those steps today.
I want to talk a little bit about, we're back to step 1 about writing, because there's so much involved in writing. And then step 2 is publishing, step 3 is launching, 4 is marketing, and 5 is distribution in our minds. And then we have the bonus category of technology, because today you do have to have a lot of things in place. I met with a guy last night, and he was like, well, I haven't written anything down. And I said, well, you got to write something down, or you got to draw some pictures. I mean, you can't just tell people the story, because they're not going to write the story for you. He wants somebody else to write it. I said, well, it's not going to be as good a story, and it ain't going to be as correct as you telling the story, because nobody can tell the story better than you. Yeah. And then he was like, well, I don't do very I said, well, you don't even have to write it. You can talk it. You can record. And he was like, well, I'm not very technical. And I said, well, you can't be not write anything down or draw anything or record and not be technical in today's marketplace. I mean, that's considered failure, bankruptcy.
It's like staring at the phone, hoping it will ring.
Right, hoping somebody will call you. And I said, you got to take some action steps. So go do this first, and then come back and talk to us. But anyway, today I really want to talk about editing. We don't edit our own stuff, and the reason you don't want to edit your own stuff is because you know what it's supposed to say. And if you've read it and you've been writing on it, and most of us have been writing on things for months or even years, and you know what it's supposed to say, and your mind knows what it's supposed to say, and your mind reads it right. So if you've left out a letter, your mind automatically puts that letter back in. And so that's why you need somebody else to edit your stuff.
It's just a slight different perspective, right?
Right. Yeah. And somebody they hadn't read it before, it's new eyes, it's fresh to them. They're going to find those things that you might not find. There also are different kinds of editors. There's like content editors or developmental editors. Editors are more like they help you create characters and scenes and locations, and content editors are a little bit more about the specifics of, are there steps, or is there a process, or is there keys, or is there, things that make sense numerically or alphanumerically or alphabetically, so people can grasp the concepts. And then you have your grammatical, which is, you're editing for grammar and prepositional phrases or run-on sentences and all of that kind of stuff. So that's why. So editing is a part of the writing process. And when we say write, edit, write, edit, that's what we mean by that. And then once you get it to where you think it's good enough, doesn't have to be perfect. Good enough is better. We're living in a situation of progress over perfection. We're never going to be perfect, and it's not ever going to be as perfect as we want it to be. But if you can get it good enough, then you give it to somebody else to look at. So I don't want to take too much of our time because we've got a great guest today. We're going to be talking with our aging enthusiast, Christina A. Smith. Christina's got a couple of books. I think she kind of came to this career as a second or third career, and Russ is going to talk to her about that, and then maybe I'll jump back on at the end and ask a couple of questions. But Christina, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I've been wondering if you were going to ask me my word for 2023. I did select one, but I've already forgotten it. So I'm useless. It was good.
It was good.
It was a good word.
It'll come back to you. And if it hits you before we get to the end of the show, it'll hit you in the middle of the show. You just come back in and share. So I'm going to share my word now. In the middle of the night, call us back. Text us in about 3 o'clock this morning. Text us, Russ, Liz, my word is.
Yeah.
Yeah, but fun. I think it just gives you kind of a flow. Like we all know that Russ's kindness is cool and smiles are free, and that's kind of a place that he lives in with everybody, whether he's dealing with people personally, whether he's dealing with people, clients or customers or partners. And so I think it just helps us to kind of set some kind of intention of something, whether it's growth, whether it's spirituality, whether it's joy or laughter, or time for yourself, self-care. I mean, we don't care what your intention is. It just needs to be specific to something that makes you happy or makes you joyful and that moves you forward, in your life in some aspect. Maybe it's health. Some of us need to be taking better care of our health and wellness. So
well, I've got to remember it again. It helps me to know, hey, am I working toward that goal? Did I do something today toward that goal? It's fun to give yourself, the gold star.
Right, for sure. And it can be a small step. It doesn't have to be a big thing. It can be little steps every day, So and then hopefully those little steps every day maybe lead to a big thing. Maybe they do accomplish a big dream for you over a period of time. So, but let's talk about your book. So, Christina, tell us a little bit. Russ is going to really interview. I'm going to jump out, but we usually ask people kind of how they got started and what they're, and then we'll get into process a little bit, maybe sharing some struggles or maybe the things that surprised you. Since you're kind of a new author, did you write a lot early on, or this kind of came to you later, didn't it?
Writing, yes. Publishing, never.
Right.
So,
and we've talked about that sometimes you just write for yourself, and sometimes you write to publish, and sometimes you write for money, and there are any number of reasons why people write, and so we don't have to do it like everybody else. So I know Russ has some great questions for you though. So I'm gonna move out and let y'all have it.
Thanks, Liz.
And we could carry on this conversation for a long time. And I have previously been with you on another episode of a wonderful show that you produce as well. So please mention that in the in the show. What was the show that you? What was the show that you did?
I call it aspects of aging. Aspects don't sound, is that a problem, an issue, a challenge? Is that oh, I'm glad to know that about my aging, or, well, that's interesting. I know someone who has done that as they have continued to live and are what I call persons of longevity. So, most people want some longevity,
Uh-huh.
and regardless of whether you like or don't like the word aging, old, senior, you're a person of longevity because maybe you cheer it on in others and you plan to have some longevity yourself. So it is a live stream just like this, and it's every week on Wednesday at noon Eastern. That's just the easiest way I can say it, because there are people in Europe who have
Yes.
come, and even one in Brazil who has come to the table.
Oh,
But
wow.
my whole thing is Aging Better Network. So that is a great place to go, agingbetternetwork.com, to find anything that I'm writing or talking about, or resources that I'm starting to stockpile for people who have challenges or are vicariously navigating aging through someone they care about.
Absolutely. And I'm one of those peoples. I care for mother, and she's 86.
Yes,
And she shared with me the other day that her aunt Reba, is 102. And so
I love it.
she goes, I might be around a while. So I go, well, I hope so, Mom. I just really hope so. You're only 86, it's like you could be around for a while. And I have to go back to the beginning and ask Christine, has there always been an element of this in your life? Or when did it start becoming part of your life and part of the things that you are fascinated and excited about?
Well, I see your question two different ways. The caring or aging, or, this topic that I'm interested in, and then the writing part.
Yeah.
So writing, oh my goodness, I loved writing. I loved essay tests. I loved putting together my, whatever, undergraduate thesis or something. I treated it like a thesis. I loved, writing. In fact, our entire romance was by letter writing. My husband of 38 years, it was letter writing in envelopes. So apparently I can write. Because he and I met each other face to face, but he was going right into the military. And so he was always in a different state or on a different continent. So that was the only way we could communicate, because long distance was almost impossible for all the reasons. It was too costly, and he would have to use a phone that was in the hallway of all the other guys in the barracks,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's not convenient as it is today, where you can do FaceTime or you can text message or anything like that. So writing was a definite skill, and you have to appreciate it. Absolutely. And I did the same thing when I was with my wife, and when we were courting and had a long distance relationship. So been there, done that. I want to ask you, when did you start writing and publishing? Writing to publish, I guess, is a better way of describing it, because we have a couple of books that I want to bring up here and share, because you had The Act of Aging, and then you also have the Caregiver's Kit. Am I saying that correctly?
Yes, Caregiver Kit.
Okay.
It's a pattern interrupt. It's frustrating. It is also exactly what I meant to write. But now I discover that if I'm looking for my own book, it is really hard, because there's a little guy pulling the levers behind my computer going, you meant to say caregiver. I know you meant to say caregiver. I'm like, no, caregiver.
I did not. I promise. I did not. So give us the backstory to these two.
Backstory. The backstory is I always wrote and people saw it. If it wasn't a teacher, it was my students' families, because I would write newsletters as a teacher, newsletters for church, because I was always involved. I liked pulling people together and making sure they knew what was going on and could celebrate and get ready for things. So writing, no problem. When I was hired on my front lawn by a neighbor who said, I've seen you with our people in our neighborhood, and you would make a great caregiver. And I said, I've never been one. I don't know anything about it. And say, nope. Come in Monday. I'll hire you. She was shorthanded. And, I wasn't a bad pick. She knew what she was looking for because she supervised them. She knew the kind of personality, etc. So I started making notes and stuffing them. In fact, I've got this little bag right here. Don't I? Somewhere around here. I've got this little purple quilted bag that I would stuff these little notes in there between shifts, because I was always sent to individual homes, independent living apartments, homes anywhere in 2 different counties. And so I had to have my bag with, my lunch and everything in there. And I would just write these little notes about things that I was noticing in general, not the people's names. I was super careful about privacy, but it was things that I noticed that were the same from home to home, especially the loved ones of my client, as they would talk about how they were pre-planning for their own aging, or it's almost as if we've all learned the quote, who's going to do all this for me? Or how I haven't even had time to think about how I'm going to take care of all these financial and legal and medical things, all these, my kids, my property, my business. I haven't even had time for myself because I've been
so many
really
details.
Right. And I was like, I'm hearing the same thing. I've been in almost 100 different homes, and I'm hearing the same things again. So I learned so much from my clients who had made wise decisions and also would admit, yeah, there were some really difficult times. Our relationship was like this over some of those typical things, like when to give up driving, or should I remain in my home, just lots of things. And I thought, well, that shouldn't just go away. There should be something for these people. One particular person said the words, and it is the title of a book, who's going to do this for me when I grow older?
Yeah.
And so I was looking for a book that would address pre-planning for your emotional and relational,
it's such
better
a huge
outcomes.
topic. It's such a huge topic. And where do you see it going, actually, Christine?
Well, honestly, that book that you had up on the screen a moment ago, it's got red and purple and gray as the colors, kind of looks like a textbook. And I did that on purpose, which was fun for me to choose the front and make it the way that I wanted it to look like, because I wanted people to know there's real information in here. This is not my opinion and a sweet story. And wouldn't it be nice if everybody could just get along throughout aging? I wanted them to know that, like there's actionable items in here. So this book, there's actually 5 of them. I just haven't popped out those other 4
Got it.
because you get to writing and it's addictive, and people already know this. And so I had to split it up smaller because I was encouraged by my husband to just write something just in short. So honestly, it's a convincer book. The Act of Aging, the first of the 5 volumes, it's a convincer book for a book that I have not released yet. So even
So we look
yesterday.
forward to the future.
Yes, yesterday a business gal, a marketing gal, she's talked to me before, and she contacted last night and said, "I'm still sitting at my computer here on the East Coast. I need an interview." And I said, "Sure." And we just pushed the button and went. And she was going, "You've got to release that, even though you feel like it's not exactly marketable yet, et cetera." So the book you're looking at is convincing people that they ought to go into that other book. And in The Act of Aging, I'm telling people, are you this kind of a person? Are you an academic and you just want to examine aging kind of scientifically? Are you a person that's feeling sandwiched between older generations, younger generations, and you feel like care is going 2 different directions? Are you solo aging and you're thinking, who is going to be there for me if I just need help making decisions? This is not end of life. This is continuous life until 102 and counting for Auntie Reba. Who do I delegate or designate my social media and my, make decisions for me if I am coming out of surgery and I'm going to be okay, but they need to know down at the soup kitchen, I'm not going to be there to get the soup going. Delegate those people ahead of time, because those medical things and the decision making becomes more cumbersome at times as you're aging. So I just list a bunch of different kinds of people that could benefit from the book I haven't released yet, but now I just gotta.
Well,
it's written.
The other part about this is, the critical part is, it's 2 sides, because there's the people that need the care, and then there's the caregivers that, from my perspective, I just moved here and I said, okay, I'm taking care of my parents, and that was just a decision I made. And there's not a lot of resources that I've tapped into. So who is my backup? Who is, and fortunately my sister moved out here. However, not all families, like if you're aging solo, that's a different scenario. That's a completely different scenario than what I'm experiencing right now. And I know that there are people out there that are doing exactly that. And, I live in a community that's a senior retirement community, and I see it all the time. I see it. And there's so many things that we don't think about that I would really like to learn more about. And through your books and your publishing and your show, it's really valuable information. And I just want to acknowledge that and appreciate you doing that, because I appreciate how important it is. And after doing it for a number of years, it's, sometimes it's a thankless thing, and it's still very gratifying at the same time. So,
yes, that's exactly why I had to get over the fear of the camera. Apparently, I still have a fear of publishing or it being seen. But what she encouraged me was the people who are actually going to buy it and give you feedback are doing it so that you can make a different iteration or divide it up smaller or present it from a different angle. They probably want you to succeed. Someone might just be grouchy, but they probably think this would be even better if you added this ingredient. So honestly, my podcasts, which I do video podcasts that are pre-recorded, they are not live. And those are just me and one other person. And I'm always going through my 5 prompts to just get them talking about their own aging or what they've seen about aging that
Mm.
has significance to them, and it's pointing toward that book I haven't released. So think of it as this helium balloon that I've just got held in my hand. I'm just clinging to it.
I think that's the word of 2023 is publish. I think that's the word you're thinking of. Publish, Christine.
Oh my goodness. Oh, well, I know that I will definitely get more encouragement from people like you and Liz and others. Oh, and speaking of publish, I agree with having someone else edit your work.
The pickle can't read the label when it's inside the jar.
Oh, that's cute and true.
And true.
So I sent it off. To a 14-year-old. I'm doing this because I'm going to go through the kinds of people that I sent my manuscript to.
Mm-hmm.
The 14-year-old, because a woman who has been on one of my live stream shows, which is always, you take what you get when it happens, because it's out there. She said, help. It's school is out, and I have a 14-year-old going on 34 who wants real work to work on this summer. And so I sent my manuscript, and she thumbed through that whole thing and looked for errors and, gave me this very complete analysis. And I was like, oh, she was a great one to do that.
That's awesome.
Because I didn't pull anything out of there. I left it all in. I told Mom, hey, you can look through it before she does, because it may be a subject that would be hard on her. I don't know if she's, had a grandmother that was, passing away or had dementia. So I've also sent it to a gerontologist, because gerontology is the study of aging beyond, I guess the typical age of when people think, wow, they're getting old. And it's like, yeah, and older. Ta-da. So also sent it to a person who's been a published author and also has this whole preparedness mindset, has had it since childhood. And so really understood the pre-planning. And then some other diverse people, actually were a few gerontologists. But anyway, I sent it to them so that they could say, and I said, criticize me. It's not going out there yet. So I'm okay. And so, they gave encouragement. So that's nice. Yeah. And they also said, I think this. And then I can decide, no, do I want it to stay that way? Or, wow, that just works out. And I did one editing for my husband. Oh my goodness, just red marks all over the place, because I needed to ask him, is this what you meant?
Yeah.
For the person to understand, your reader. It sounds like you've got this show. I mean, your intended audience sounds to me like people who are either considering publishing, or maybe they're doing a different kind of book coming up. Is that who you think is listening?
It really helps to have a new perspective. So,
there you go.
Yeah. And it really, I mean, even if we think we, like Liz was saying before you jumped on, is even if we think we have all of the words correct, they're invisible to us because we just pass by it for some reason, psychology or whatever it is, that there's a reason that happens. And so if you can, even sentence structure, just like you were talking about, if I'm talking and recording it, that sentence structure, even if I go back to edit, I have to change the sentence structure to actually mean and share the intention that I was actually thinking of when I recorded it, because it's not always the same when you go back and analyze the structure of the paragraph. So it's time.
Yeah.
It takes time and it takes effort, and I applaud your efforts and look forward to more in the future, Christine.
Thanks.
So I want to bring Liz back and make sure that we have an opportunity to wrap this up, because we're getting close to the end, and I just want to make sure that we have all of our questions answered, and I'm sure that
Yeah,
Liz, you have a few.
and we'll have to have Christine come back because I want to talk more about that Kara Griever book that she's got, because that really
Yeah,
is. I
it's
mean, a
different.
lot of us are, we're grieving while we're caring, especially if there's an illness, whether it's dementia or, my mother, my dad had Parkinson's and diabetes and a partial amputation. And then my mother had brain tumor and 8 weeks start to finish. So we didn't have a lot of time for planning. We thought she was going to be around. And for my dad, we had everything planned. But for my mother, we didn't have anything planned because she was 76. And it's really stressful and difficult to make those decisions when you're in the midst of it, when you're in the midst of grieving. And really, you can't even grieve because you got to deal with all the stuff, like you say, the financial stuff, the banking stuff, the Social Security, whatever it is that they have. And so I really appreciate that you're one, an aging enthusiast, and so are Russ and I, and obviously because we're on the backside of whatever it is, and
21.
but like you say, backside of 21, and people are living longer. So they say, whatever, 65, 75, 80 is the new 60 kind of. And we have a lot of friends. I have a lot of friends that are in their late 70s, early 80s, and even into their 90s. And like you say, a couple of them that are 100, 102. So we are living longer. But I want y'all to know that you can find Christine's books at Amazon. The show notes are there. We'll put those in the show notes. If you're looking to connect with her, it's Christine, Christina, Christine A. Smith. If you want to look her up on Amazon, as we said, her book is there. Her LinkedIn contact is linkedin.com/in/Christine-Smith. So
Hyphen. Two of them.
Hyphen. Okay. And then be sure to check her out, to look her up. You also can probably find her at the Aging Enthusiast and the Active Aging, the books there. So be sure to check that out if you've got a parent, or maybe you're aging yourself. Whatever it is, you can go to agingbetternetwork.com. That's agingbetternetwork.com. So be sure to do that, and we appreciate it so much. Christine, is there kind of maybe one last thing, maybe a tip or a strategy that you want to share with those listening?
Yes, this is super important. I'm 62. Guess when I published for the first time in my life? 62. Both of them published during this year, so I'll turn 63 soon. And you said, we got to have you back. So I got to release that book that I keep pointing at, the one that is invisible, and yet the whole thing is written. Because even a person turned to me and said, I'm helping so-and-so because who knew this was going to happen? Would you please hurry up and publish that book?
That's it. So we're here to encourage that and to share that out. And that's the other thing we'll do is, like you say, is we share these authors with you. And this is the author adventure. And here we want you to feel like you have a safe place to come and ask any questions. Probably we lean about 80% to a newbie, to somebody that wants to write, that's thinking about writing, would like to write. They're kind of started in the process, but they're not sure what to do next. We are sharing throughout each week, these other strategies related to marketing and distribution. So even if you've already got a book, or maybe you've published with somebody else or self-published, you still can find some nuggets here if you go back and listen to the interviews on our YouTube channel. That's at Author Adventure. You can find us at theauthoradventure.com. That's www.theauthoradventure.com. You can get some additional information there, and the links to our YouTube and our e-newsletter. So check those things out, because those are free resources that you can go. There are a lot of articles. We've got about 75 articles on our e-newsletter. You just put your name in, email, sign up, and choose none. That's basically the free version. And if you want to support authors and support us, you can obviously do the membership annually or monthly, and it's, the cost of a meal out. I mean, give up one meal to invest in yourself, to write that book or tell your story like Christine has. And it doesn't matter what age you are. Like you say, some people start early on, they're younger, and some of us don't start till later in life. I was just lucky in that my parents opened a Christian bookstore when I was 11. So I've been in it a lot longer than most people. But, so I knew the retail side of it, the book side of it, and that kind, the traditional publishing side of it. And then I self-published myself in 92, started in 92. So we've been at this game a long time, and there are a lot of moving parts, and you can't know it. It's just like aging. You can't know everything. So you need to find good resources and good people like Christine and the resources that she's sharing with you. Go check those out because, it's going to come to all of us. That's the one thing we're not going to get out of this, life alive. And the sad fact is we can control a little bit of our health, but as we age, we are going to lose some muscle. We are going to maybe lose some, some faculties. We're going to lose some strength maybe. And so we need to do everything we can to maintain as long as we can so that somebody else doesn't, have to take care of us. Or and what, Christine, is this true? I mean, I've heard that caregivers usually sometimes pass away before the person being cared for because they don't get any help.
That's another reason to fortify your relationships right now and make that one of your goals each year. Am I maintaining these now that we can be in person? Am I maintaining this? So when I got an invitation, hey, you want to drive to Timbuktu and watch this live thing with me? I thought I need to maintain that relationship and not discount the fact that either there might be a moment when that lovely lady could use an advocate or vice versa. And this person could be going, I know how she likes things done. And while she's going through this lull, I know how to maintain it or how much she wants maintained. I mean, friends, you would like to enjoy them too. So why not say to each other, hey, let's help each other out if one of us hits one of those bumps.
Right. For sure.
Yeah. Sometimes even if you have to go to the doctor and you need somebody to give you a ride, who do you have relationships out there that you can develop. So Christy, I thank you so much for being here. And
it's been great fun.
It's been great fun. Great to see you always. So I appreciate it.
Thank you. You are two wonderful people and have a lovely season, end of the year. Happy new 2023 with whatever your words are. Mine is published. Thank you, Russ Johns. Published.
Published. And as always, we're here every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Central Time and sharing the information and nuggets of knowledge. And someone new that's an author. And we're talking about the process. We're talking about how you can become an author. Join us, ask your questions, get involved, get engaged. And thank you so much for being here, everyone. And if you're listening to this in the future, let us know and share your questions and connect with us online as well.
Sounds great. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Take care.